It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Divas That Care. I'm Candace Gish. Well, thank you so much for tuning into today's program. I have a brand new diva we're going to be introducing to our program. I'm really excited to be introducing her and getting to know her at the same time you guys are. If this is your first time checking out the divas, thank you so much. It's because of all of our amazing listeners. We've been continuing to do this for 10 years now. You can check out all of our hosts on the network at divasthatcare.com. Well, as I said, I'm excited because we have an amazing author on our program. She's also hails from Alberta, Canada, like I do. And I'm going to be just excited to hear everything that she's going to be sharing. So today's guest is Nadine McGill. Nadine, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you so much.
How are you today?
I'm great now that I'm on.
Well, I'm excited to have you on. I'm excited to get to know you. Would you mind, Nadine, sharing a little bit about yourself with our listeners today?
Sure. I'm originally from Regina, Saskatchewan, but I've lived in Alberta twice now. This is the second time for 15 years with my family. My kids are grown now, and I have extra space to do all the things that I've waited to do for a couple of decades now. And like you said, I'm an author, and one of those things that I've done in the free time I have now is author and podcast. And, I'm one of those people who has gone to seminars all my life. I'm a seminar junkie, and I kept searching for something. I didn't know what it was, but I went to all these seminars, anything from self-help to financial seminars, looking for what I really wanted to do in my life. I'm educated in the nursing field. I have a psych background, and I worked in the education system, and that was all well and good, and I felt like I was contributing, but it wasn't fulfilling. And so for decades, I've been on this search and have finally come to the place where I can say all of that searching that I thought was not getting me anywhere, I felt like I was wandering, but it has all come to this point now where it's all coming together and it's starting to make sense to me. And now I'm doing these kind of things where I'm speaking because I finally found what I wanted to say. I finally found
I love that.
what is important to say. Yes. So I think in the end, I think I've been searching for my voice, and when I finally found it, I then had to figure out what it was I wanted to say, and this is it. Yes, I want to.
That's great. It's amazing, isn't it? This personal development, somebody told me years ago that it's the best thing that you could ever do for yourself is, go to these seminars, read the right books, do a lot of, self-reflection, do gratitude journals. There was always a list of things to do. And I thought, that's a lot to do, but I don't regret a moment of it. It has transformed me into who I am, and it's transformed you into who you are.
Yes. And you know what? Those moments still happen where you think, is this right? Am I on the right path? But it's easier now to snap out of it and say to yourself, yes, just listen to your intuition and go for it. It's easier now.
I like that, isn't it? I love it. And I think, too, as women, as we get older, we start realizing that a little bit more. I wish I was smarter when I was younger. I probably would have, done different things. But I'm glad for the wisdom that I have as I've gotten older. And it just makes me realize, how grateful I am for everything that has transpired, the journey that I've been on, so that it has led to where it is today.
Exactly. We're on the same page.
So Nadine, tell me. Oh, I love that. So Nadine, tell me about this amazing book that you wrote, because it is called, I think it has to do with the Alpha Zone. And I'm really excited because I would love to hear what it's all about.
Okay, the Alpha Zone is the podcast that I created.
Oh, okay.
It's called Alpha.
And then,
it's called.
And that's the Alpha Zone. Okay. Let's talk about the
Alpha
podcast, and then we'll talk about your amazing book.
Okay. Okay, so Alpha Unleashed is a 20-episode podcast that I created to help people increase their self-confidence, their self-worth, and their self-esteem. And it's really an interesting story how that happened. I was at a seminar, and we were asked if we wanted to get up and speak, and of course I did. I love being on stage, but I still get nervous. I'm nervous right now, and I didn't let that stop me. I thought, no, I have something to say. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'm going to get up there and see what happens. And when I get up there, my throat is tight and my tongue feels like it's 10 times bigger than it's supposed to be. I think all speakers go through this.
Yes.
But I found myself in this other zone. When you're in regular consciousness, you're in what's called the beta zone. And then the next level in your consciousness is the alpha zone, and it's the creative zone. It's the daydream zone. And I found myself standing on the stage, and here I was in this daydream zone. And all of a sudden, the words just started pouring out of me, and they were exactly what I wanted to say. And I hadn't had to think about it beforehand or write any notes. They just poured out of me. And I got off the stage, and I had a coach there. I had a business coach there, a personal mastery coach as well. And she looked at me and she said, "Who are you?" And I said, "You're not going to believe what just happened." And I told her this story, and she said, "Wow, it's like you're Alpha Unleashed." And I said, "Okay, that's it. That is a title that I'm going to use to create something." And so I created the podcast, and it's, to help people learn how to harness their power, increase their self-esteem, and live the life they want to live.
Oh, I love that. And isn't that what we all need? To have that confidence and that. I love that. I'm looking forward to listening to that myself, because I think what an extraordinary thing, and then to pass it on to as many people as you can.
Yes, thank you. The episodes are anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes. I have 9 guests on from all walks of life who inspired me and showed me how they increased their confidence and self-esteem. And 2 of them are even children, because they are awesome to learn from if we're paying attention. Mm-hmm. And then I create episodes around those guests that I give practices and tools and tips to the listeners.
Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm. And you know what, I'm just kind of going back to what you had mentioned about children. I'm like, what, that's exactly it. I learn every day from I always call them my little divas, because they're the ones that have inspired me to do this program, but they inspired me to now interview. I've been interviewing the young divas for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, I guess now. And those young people, they just have so much to offer us. And I think that we need to realize that we can learn so much from them. So yeah, hats off to you to doing that also.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yeah, children are great.
So, they are. So Nadine, tell me about this book that you wrote, because you're an author, and I would love to hear about this book.
Okay, it's called What Self-Love Got to Do with It. It is a compilation, and I'm one of the authors. It was compiled by Heather Andrews, who's also an Alberta woman. And my chapter is called Hats Off to Self-Love, because, of course, the book is about self-love. And all the women that contributed talk about their journey to self-love. And mine starts from when I was very young, and again starts off with a story about a child that I actually worked with in the education system. So she provided an opportunity to learn from, for me and for her, and it is giving me goosebumps, because like you say, children are so wise. They just don't know it.
Yes, they are. They just teach us so much.
Yes. And so my chapter gives different little sections about how to make your way to self-love. And I have little quotes throughout about what self-love is. So self-love was writing this chapter for me, because I had to delve down deep into myself and release, I'm going to call it information, but release information that was inside of me that needed to be let go so I could heal, and so that I could begin this journey that we're talking about today. And I also talk about how self-love is honoring yourself and your individuality. It's not an easy journey, but it is what I call an Olympic level effort that is essence filled and a labor of love. And it's going to make me cry right now, Candace, because it's very personal. It's very personal.
Yeah.
And goodness, I asked my sisters for permission because I include how they held me up in times that I needed through the book. And it's really a dedication to family. And even though you might not like your family, like they always say, we can't pick our family, but we can choose what we do with family, and we can choose what we learn from family. And this book is an extension of that. My chapter is an extension of that. And an extension of who I've become.
I love that. That is so powerful. It's a very powerful statement. And one of the things that you're doing now is that you're doing speaking. You're speaking at events. How is that for you? How are you liking that? This is your next journey, obviously, and your people are hiring you to speak at different events. So tell me something about that.
Okay. I've actually been a public speaker all my life. I discovered that I love public speaking when I had to do a speech contest in grade 5. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't know what to write the speech on. You can believe it. I finally wrote one on noses. I left it till the last minute, and that's what I came up with. And from the moment I gave the speech, I knew that's what I was meant to do. And so being on stage, like I say, and presenting in front of people is just my happiness realm. The difficulty for me, like I've alluded to, is letting the words out, letting them flow without being regimented, because I always want it to come out perfectly. Yep. Don't we always want everything to be perfect? So that's what I stress about. I stress about not being perfect and not saying exactly what I wanted to say. But in the end, however it happens, it was meant to be that way. And whether it came out perfectly or not, it was meant to be that way. And again, there's always a lesson. So yes, thankfully you were one of the people that reached out to me when I was looking for speaking opportunities. And I so appreciate that. You're actually my first one of 5 that I booked for October. So, yeah, I feel like this is my inaugural too.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job, and I love what you're doing because it's very inspirational. And I was going to ask you, that's kind of leading. You're doing a 6-week virtual course for women.
Yes.
And so that is sort of hats off. Can you tell us about that then?
Sure. So in the end, my purpose has become to help women turn around the beliefs that they have in their heads. There's a lot of smart women out there who are listening to this, who need to listen to these programs like you have, who are frustrated because they don't have the life they want. They're not doing what they're meant to do. They're not getting the results in their businesses. And it's because of low self-esteem, low self-confidence, and I want to turn that around. And I want to talk to women. You're welcome. I want to talk to women about it because all these years that I've been working in mostly female-oriented careers, and in the research that I've done recently for my book and the podcast and this program that I'm putting together, what I've heard from women from the age of 20 to 60 plus in all walks of life is that they're all suffering from some variation of the not enough story. And it takes us out of who we want to be in the world, right? And the key is all those stories are made up, right? All those stories are made up. I'm not smart enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not old enough. I'm too old. I'm not educated enough. I don't have enough experience. How am I going to do that? All of those things. And so my course is about turning that around. And and for this 6-week course, I focus on 3 specific things that will help stop that self-sabotage.
Well, I think everybody should be taking this course then, because it is one of those things.
Thank you.
And I always wondered if this was a thing for women, like women are like that, because I talk to I have a lot of my friends that are guys, and they don't feel the same way. And I always wonder, why is it that girls feel this way and boys don't? And that was always something that when I was younger, I'm like, how is it that they feel so confident that they could do everything? And I think as a society that's changing a lot. I don't know if you've noticed that with some of the younger people you're talking about. Like, I know it's still an issue, but I think in a lot of ways our girls are stronger. They're becoming more confident in themselves. And I think that they're finding, and they have amazing moms, I think, too, because that listen to programs and that are getting more inspired. They're sharing that with their daughters. And I think that they're getting stronger because of that.
I totally agree. It is changing, thank goodness, because of women like you and mothers like us. I totally agree. You mentioned that your daughter's involved in what you're doing, and my daughter.
She is.
She's always encouraging me, because I talk to her when I have those moments where I don't really know if I should go on, or I have that not enough moment, right? We all do. It doesn't ever just totally go away. And I think that's one of the messages that women want to hear. They might be, in awe of all these powerful women out there who are having results that they want, but it's not a perfect road. It will never be a perfect road. And I think women need permission to not be perfect.
I love that.
Just go out there and do it.
Yeah. It's hard. I think it is hard. We put so much on our shoulders. We want to be that perfect spouse, that perfect mom, that perfect sister, that perfect daughter. We want to be that perfect friend, and we have to realize that we're human and we're okay to have faults, and we learn from that. And we're better people because we have something wrong with us, I think. To me, I think the perfect, there's no such thing as a perfect person. And when we have our faults, we can learn from them. And we can share that with others.
Right. And so you are talking about one of the methods that I have in my course is not just paying attention to and practicing self-care, but having guilt-free self-care, so that we give ourselves that time to find out who we are and what we want to do and who we want to be in the world. Because we're so busy, if you don't make time to do that for yourself, it's not going to happen. It doesn't matter how how often you say, I'll do it when my kids are gone, or I'll do it when I'm feeling better, or when I finally get some sleep, or whatever it is. It's not going to happen unless you make it happen. And so part of that is not feeling the guilt for doing it.
Yes. It's taken me many, many years to realize that, and I still have those moments of guilt when I try to do stuff for myself. So, you know what? Everybody feels that way. I don't think there's a woman out there that doesn't. I like that.
No.
And I think it's something that we need to address, that, we're all the same. So I want to ask you, is there some tips, tools that you would love to share with our listeners today?
Sure. That would be one of the first ones, is learning how to get over the guilt. It was kind of easy for me, because I just decided one day I'm not carrying guilt anymore. It doesn't matter what it's about. If it's not mine, I'm not carrying it. And I'm not going to make other people's mine, because that's what I was doing. I was taking on everybody's issues and then feeling guilty for them. How crazy is that? And so one day I was actually driving down the street. I remember exactly where I was, and I was thinking about this situation. And then I realized I was feeling guilty about it. And I just said to myself, okay, that is it. You are not doing that anymore. So that is one of the main tips I would give women. The other is permission. Give yourself permission. Not permission from somebody else. You give yourself permission. You don't need permission from anybody else to do what is right for you. That is one of my big tips. I know I noticed when I talked in the past on interviews and things, that word permission always comes out. And when people first hear it, they go, well, I don't do that. I don't wait for other people to give me permission. But I challenge people who are listening right now to stop in situations where they're feeling challenged or they're feeling less than, and they just don't know what to do themselves, and stop and see if you're waiting for somebody else to say, go ahead and do that, or go ahead and say that, or it's okay if you do that. I challenge you that.
You know what? I think you're right in that. I was just thinking about that in different situations, and we do that. I do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
But the important thing is you're aware of it now. And
yes.
with the products that I have out there now, the book and the podcast, and what I'm doing now with the course, all about becoming aware. When you become aware of how you act and how you show up in the world, you're smart enough to know what to do about it. You just have to be aware of it first. And I love that. A huge step.
And for a lot of our listeners that are on the Changemakers Cafe, Nadine posts a lot of stuff about her podcasts, and I think you've been posting some other stuff on the Changemakers Cafe, and I encourage all of our listeners to go check that out, because you know what? I love what you're doing out there. You're really trying to get the awareness and, share this with everybody out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yes, and thank you for that platform, the Changemakers Cafe platform.
It's a lot of fun, and it's a great way for people to connect. And that's what I encourage everybody that is in that group, is to really connect in there and use that as that networking kind of tool for you guys all to get to know what each other's doing. So, thank you so much for what you're doing even within that group. It's absolutely fabulous.
Oh, you're welcome. I love it. I love the name too. It makes you want to just sit down with your coffee and figure out how you can be that change maker, and then just slide right into it. Yep.
And that's what we're wanting to do. So thank you so much. Well, Nadine, I've had such a great time chatting with you today. You've got a lot of stuff going on. You know what? We want to support you in any way that we can. We're going to be posting this program on all of our social media. So make sure that all of our listeners check that out, and make sure you pass it on to your friends and family. I think it's really important to get as many women out there to listen to this podcast, because you know what? If you can connect with Nadine and see what she's doing, I think that's really important.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm just exhilarated, I have to tell you. I've been looking forward to this, and it's everything that I sat here in my little meditation before calling you and put my intention out there, and it's all come to be.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I'm really glad that you came on our program today. I hope you come back on. I know that we have another Diva host that's going to be doing an interview with you, and I'm excited to hear that one too. So for all of our listeners, make sure you tune into that one also. Nadine, thank you again for being on the program. As I said, I'm going to post all your social media, and a big shout out to all of our fantastic divas that listen to our program. As I said in the beginning, it's because of you that we've continued to do this, and I'm very grateful to each and every one of you that does pass our shows on to so many women. And that's why, as I said, we are listened to in over 30 countries, to a lot of women that are now checking us out and sending us amazing messages. And I want to thank you for all of that. I hope that all of you have a fantastic day, and then you make sure that you do something kind for somebody out there. Until next time.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.